right, Jess Hardy in the house, ultra marathoner.
Yes.
Endurance athlete.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. Just talking, getting to know you. Thanks for coming up and sharing.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Honor's mine. Thank you. Yeah. So where are you from?
I am from Dana Point, California.
Okay.
I was actually born in Memphis. My dad's family was in Memphis, so I've lived in Memphis and Dana Point on and off throughout my life. Yeah.
And what's the process to becoming or getting into like ultra marathoning and these long endurance things that you've been a part of, which we'll talk, about.
Yeah. Well, so it has to do a lot with like my mindset. Like I wanted to know, first start with a 5K. And then I'm like, well, that wasn't too bad. I wonder if I can do a 10K. And then you progress. I've done a marathon. You hear about these other races.
Did you play, what sports did you play when you were?
I played basketball throughout high school.
Okay.
I played soccer as a kid. I actually was really, it was pretty cool. I got on the varsity team as a freshman in high school, and then I got to like travel. And so we went over to Holland and Amsterdam, and
for basketball.
Played in tournaments.
Oh, cool.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nice.
So sports have taken me a lot of places and been like my passion from a very young age, which has been, it's taken me a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. Okay. Yeah. So then, and you're also a nurse.
Correct.
But,
Yep.
But going back to you played soccer, basketball, and you traveled around. What was the first foray into
getting me running?
Right.
Yeah. So,
because your Instagram is all things running.
Yep. I stopped playing sports after high school. It's hard because it's not a lot of team sports that continue after college. And so, I played basketball in college as well. And so, for a long time, I was kind of like, there was a lull. I wasn't really working out as much. And I went through a terrible breakup. And my boss at the time was on a triathlon team. And so she was like, hey, I'm going to pick you up on Saturday. I'm going to get you out of your funk and you're going to come running with me. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. So I went out and I only lasted a mile running. I was like, this is so hard. I am not a runner. I don't know if I like this. And then sure enough, it was like, okay, I'm going to pick you up next weekend too. She's like a mentor to me, the woman that I used to work for, Dr. Jeter. And so I just started enjoying it. And she's like, I signed you up for a triathlon, by the way.
She signed you up.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, great. But then it really enjoyed it. And smaller distances turned into larger and larger and larger. How far can I push my body? At first, it's like, oh man, that was the toughest thing I've ever done. And then you start thinking about it, a couple
Was she doing those things with you still?
Yeah.
At that point?
She
still is?
She's the one I started the Appalachian Trail with. So there's long history.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we started together. She's still out there actually. So yeah, she does a lot of this stuff, still does Ironman races and stuff like that. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from what was the progress? So small races, Ironman. What was the progression like? So in more detail.
Yeah, Memphis is a big running city, so there's races every weekend. So I started.
So you were working in Memphis when you started to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was taking care of my dad in Memphis, so lived there, taking care of him and stuff like that. So I would start just smaller races and stuff like that, and then I progressed on to okay, I've conquered the 10K. I'm ready for a half marathon. Now I'm ready for a marathon. That's the progression that goes along. And it's funny. So in 2014, my father passed and I decided I was going to move across the country to be closer to my mom. Everything kind of happened all at once where I was like, I'm kind of sick of working at this many hours, huge life change. I would love to live by the beach again. And so I took a year off, moved, and I came across this company, the 100 Mile Club, and I'd only done maybe 6 or 7 marathons.
100 Mile Club.
100 Mile Club, yeah. It's a nonprofit organization that incentivizes kids to run 100 miles throughout the school year. And I thought, that's really cool. It's a way for me to kind of give back. My dad was on the unhealthy side, and, I can kind of it's a tribute to him, help kids understand it's really necessary to health and fitness and eating right. Yeah. So I kind of took the nursing role. I talked to a lot of the kids about the nutrition and stuff like that. And like I said, I'd only done 6 or 7 marathons before. And I signed up for this run across the country doing a marathon every day for 4.5 months. So it was a rude awakening into the endurance field. not a lot of people probably start like that at all. It's more like of a progression kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
And then from what was you did the triathlon, the Ironman in Hawaii?
I haven't done the Hawaii one.
Okay.
I've done one in California, one in Florida, and then 2 in Chattanooga. So
Okay. And then you just hiked you just ran the Appalachian Trail. So where does that begin? Where does that end?
So yeah, I just did the hike through.
Yeah. That was, you were just telling me the pandemic started in March, but you started that in May?
Yes. Yeah, May 4th.
And you finished in August.
August 31st. Yeah. I started in Springer Mountain in Georgia is where we started.
Okay.
And that was the day that everything opened up. So we were like, I think we feel pretty good if they're opening up bowling alleys and tattoo parlors. It's okay for us to get on the trail, So we're going to go ahead and venture out on the trail. And it was me and this lady that I used to work for. Her name's Dr. Jeter. She and I started at the same time. And then, couple weeks went by. One of our other friends came out and joined us. And then I kind of went off on my way and let her go her pace and I went my pace. So it took me 112 days of hiking, all the way through. I went home for a little bit.
How many days?
112.
112.
Yeah. But I did go home for a week. So it was around 120, somewhere around there, just under 4 months to finish 2200.
How many hours a day were you running for?
It would just depend. It would depend on the terrain, number one, and then also the resupplying. So I have everything on my back. I didn't do it supported. It was all unsupported. So have up my tent, all my food, the water. If I had to resupply, I would probably be around 8 hours. If I wasn't, and I had everything that I needed for the next couple of days, it was 10 to 12 hours of hiking / running, jogging kind of thing with the pack on.
10 to 12 hours.
Yeah. So I would try to do about 25 to 30 miles a day when I didn't need any more support.
You would pitch a tent on the trail?
Yep.
Sleep there?
Yep.
And then start it first thing in the morning?
Yep. As soon as the birds woke me up. when the sunlight comes up, the birds are crazy. They'll get you up for sure.
How did you feel your body? What was you were joking about Pop-Tarts,
Oh yeah. Well,
but what is the a diet like that of running all day long?
It's whatever you can get your hands on, pretty much. You're in the middle of these little small mountain towns. And even just to get into a town, you have to hitchhike in. There's no phone service. There is no, Uber or anything like that. So these little towns, they're like a mom and pop store that's open from 8 to 5. And that's it. The only thing in there is all packaged food. And so that's, a lot of people will drop boxes and stuff and pick them up at a post office. I tried that the first little bit, but I ended up getting to a post office on Sunday and then had to wait a whole day to be able to continue on. So I'm like, I don't want to have to wait, when I could be hiking and, getting through this monstrous trail, So I just decided I'm just going to eat all this junk, everything in a package. So Pop-Tarts and, the tuna packets and in tortillas and stuff like that. I mean, it was, if somebody was to see my diet, I would be so embarrassed because that's pretty much all you had to get.
Did you feel the difference eating those kinds of things compared to? I
did at first, but then my body just needed so many calories. It was just the fire's as hot as it's going to be. You just need to keep fueling it kind of thing, where it was I just need any kind of caloric intake right now kind of thing. So, but yeah, I could definitely tell when I was running lower on food some days where I'm oh man, I need a little pick me up or, eat extra calories today to be able to, have a strong day tomorrow for sure.
When you said, you mentioned my dad, and he went through breakup and he started running. I just can't help but think about Forrest Gump, the Forrest Gump movie,
right?
When he just starts running.
Yep.
And he runs from one coast to the other coast and then runs back again.
Yeah.
Back again.
Yeah. Well, for me too, I didn't realize how therapeutic it is. Just the being inside your mind all by yourself, thinking about things where, we have so many distractions in the world and in life, and to just break away from that and just be by yourself in nature and have only you. That was so good for me at the time to be able to do that and release. So.
And your dad, you're part of the, you said part of a tribute to your dad, these runs is.
Yeah, definitely. My dad, I was a daddy's girl growing up for sure. Only daughter, the nurse in the family. He had a stroke. So I took care of him for about 7 years until he passed. And so, to watch a parent struggle with health is like very surreal to be able to witness. And so part of me is like, he grew up in the South and he'd never had like anybody teach him nutrition, fitness, worry about your health. That was not a main focus for him. And so I'm like, if I can just change one child, to be able to realize like health is really important, or eating right is really important, getting enough sleep, water, something resonates with them. I feel like I've put something good into the, world for him. Yeah.
Especially the situation now, right? I read a little bit that he was diabetic, right? Like some other.
He had every disease you can think of. Yeah, he had like the gamut, like heart disease, lung disease, just never really
ate well, took stress.
Yeah, never worked out. It just wasn't in his mind frame kind of thing. It's funny, I'm like total opposite now. Like everything about my life is like, when can I get my workout in? Which is, watching it was something that I don't want to have to go through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Your mom is pretty healthy?
Yeah. So this is a funny story. I moved to town after my dad passed, and she's a computer engineer, and she sat behind a desk for forever. And she was retiring the same time that I was coming to town. And I was like, well, Mom, I just found Groupon and there's a boot camp that we can do. And she's like, a boot camp? I don't know what a burpee is. I don't even have tennis shoes to go to a boot camp. And we bought her all of this stuff. And then she did the week and she signed up for a year later. And so that's like the start of her getting back into shape. And like, now she's like,
all in.
Yeah. 74 and like, let's go on a run today. I'm like, this is great. I love it.
Wow. So she's doing great.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to teaching the kids to be healthy, right? Like, we're in this COVID situation with the lockdowns and so much fear and uncertainty, and there's not a lot of marketing on, hey, take care of your health, right? If you do get something
exactly
that your body, your system can take care of itself, right?
Yep.
And recover and fight those things.
Exactly.
And if it's not that, it's something else too, right? There's so many other things that can affect you and hurt you.
For sure.
Kill you and cripple you.
Exactly. And it's like, I think for a long time that schools, and even before COVID, like they don't have a focus on like getting the kids up and moving and, going outside and realizing like this is a really healthy stress relief for, kids. And this is what you should do instead of, all the other stuff that you can do to try to relieve stress when you get older, drinking, drugs and stuff like that, where it's like, they kind of missing the ball there, where I'd love to see that more physical fitness, intertwined with, the kids going to school and stuff.
Yeah. Even the learning, right? Like for them to learn better, like, we need movement, right?
Yeah. To focus, like get up every 15 minutes or get up every 30 minutes. It would help them immensely to, remember things and everything. So, yeah.
What kind of coaching, what do you try to help the kids with? Like you said, diet and movement. What are some of the things that you teach the kids?
It was more focusing on like, healthy nutrition, getting enough sleep at night, of course, listening to your body if there's an injury, drinking enough water, touching on all the things that make you, beneficial for any kind of sports or even throughout the day, just being a healthier individual.
How old are the kids?
So we did for every age group.
Age group.
Yeah. Every day we'd stop and go into a school. So it might be the high school was the closest one. So we'd go into the high school and like we'd, go into the auditorium and talk to the kids, or we'd stop at a kindergarten place and do recess with them. It was like very interactive with the children. It was wonderful.
What's the name of the organization again?
It's the 100 Mile Club.
100 Mile Club.
Yeah.
And so they set all these things up with the different schools.
They did, yeah. They only did it 1 year. That 1 year that I did it in 2015. So
2015.
It was like a one-time thing. But Kara Lubin is the founder of this organization, and she's just awesome. She, incentivizes the kids, so they have, if they're in this 100 Mile Club, they get like specific time to go out and get to run their miles why all the rest of the kids are in there like studying and stuff, like where it's kind of like there's like this huge push to be like, don't you want to get 100 miles throughout the school year? You get a pizza party at the end. You can invite your parents to come and run miles with you. So it's like this huge like organization that is like focused on trying to get these kids to realize that health is really important, and you know, trying to incorporate it with their families too, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
The school's taking away the physical education more and more, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy, you know?
It is.
Just from, of course, being healthy, but also just even mental capacity, right? For the kids to learn.
Definitely.
And yeah, it's crazy. Hopefully things change with these
I would
things that
love
are
to see
happening.
that.
Yeah. So that was 2015. What have you been up to the last 5 years?
So I have been more focused on my running than anything else. I've done a couple Ironman triathlons, but mostly is like endurance running. I have done some pretty big races. Badwater 135.
Badwater.
Yeah, that's,
I read about that in the Ultramarathoner.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest races.
How many miles is it?
135 miles. And you run it in the middle of summer, and it's through Death Valley.
Death Valley.
The lowest part of the U.S. continent, all the way up to the Portal of Whitney, which is one of the highest in the country. So it's a lot of climbing up hills in really, really hot temperatures. Yeah, extremely difficult race. So I've done that 2 years. I paced for it.
2 years.
Yeah.
So after you do it once, you're like, I want to do it again.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, I'm like, I could do it better. But, you know, pushing your body always, you know, like, okay, I did it the first time, but I think I want to see if I can do it better and succeed and, you know, kind of fix the things that kind of didn't go perfect the first time. So
I remember the book, like his feet, what happened to his feet. I remember just like crazy stories.
Oh yeah.
Could you share some of your crazy stories?
Yeah, I have some
of
crazy
Badwater
stories. Yeah. Well, there's so I do have to give a little shout out. You have a crew with you, and you can't just do the race by yourself, because you have to have some kind of support vehicle following you. So I had this beautiful, wonderful crew, much support and love to them. And they would pretty much have all my stuff iced to be able to cool my core temperature down and stuff like that. I got through pretty much halfway, and I was getting a little cranky. It's through the night, you know, you're running all the way through the night, and I was probably a little deficient on nutrition. So a little crankiness was coming out, and I told them, I don't want to run with any more ice. It keeps slapping on my chest. It's really annoying. And
so I gotta, they wrap ice around you.
Yes. Yeah.
While you run.
Yeah. So you have it on your neck. Usually, you can like put it like on your core and stuff like that.
Do they put like a saran wrap? Is that what are they?
I use the frog togs. They're like the towels that like they pretty much absorb the water and keep you cool.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I use. Yeah. Everybody has like a different technique.
Okay.
It's kind of funny to watch, because some people will have a vest and like, you know, or douse themselves with water and stuff like that. But the ice really helps me be able to get through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're like, I don't want to run. I don't want to run with this thing on anymore.
Yeah, and I don't remember like running 3 miles of the course at all. Like they had to put me in a cold shower, and there was a volunteer there, Regina. She was like, "You need to do all of this," and I was like cussing them out. It was terrible, because I don't even remember. You know, I'm like hallucinating and everything else. So I've been like pretty bad off before. Yeah, and like nutrition wise, I couldn't keep anything down. It's a very humbling sport, a very personal sport. So your support crew has to deal with a lot of like things. They end up being like family members at the end of a race like that.
You know David Goggins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read his book too.
Yeah.
And the stories of him running these races, and him losing his bowels, and his feet. What happened to your feet?
You know, I've been really lucky. I used to get small little things where like, you know, I'd get blisters. I did have really bad blisters going over the race across USA. But after that, I kind of learned I have very wide toe box shoes. I'll get like a men's double wide, because my feet, I just like a lot of room. I don't want to have any friction and stuff. So knock on wood, the last couple of years have been like my feet have been really good to me. And on the Appalachian Trail, I did not get one blister. Like that does not happen to a lot of people. So I feel like I've like calloused my feet up all the right places. Yeah.
And going back to the Badwater, are there a lot of women doing that, or is it?
It's mostly
Mainly
men.
men.
Yeah, there's probably about 20. So the race only holds 100 people, and it's a kind of hard race to get into because it's a panel of people that qualify
for it, right?
Yeah, and then you have to fill out an application. It's pretty intensive. And then when you get called, there's only 100 people that are going to be in the race with you, and about I'd say 20% or less are females, and the rest are men.
How many people finish the race out of the 100?
Well, most of it, every year it differs just a bit. The year that I did it was the hottest year they've ever had. It was actually the hottest recorded ever in Death Valley, like ever. So we
How hot did it get?
137.
137 degrees.
Yeah, that's what we started on. And I thought it was going to be a cold year because it was like when all the snow was, was getting all over the winter. I was like, it'll be a cold year for Badwater. This will be great. The hottest ever recorded. But that year, I think it was like a 70% rate. But you have to remember, a lot of these athletes have done some amazing things. Like their resumes are
right. To even get to that race, to be able to do that race, you have to be legit.
And like even to qualify, you've had to have run 2 100-mile races and, given back to the community.
Right.
And,
And even with that, it's a 70% finishing rate.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like the elite of the elite are 70% finishing that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I call it like the Disneyland of ultramarathon. Like that race is like so like nostalgic because like there's all these like famous people there and it's such a prestigious race and stuff. It's like going to Disneyland, like, even for the crew, because I crewed 2 years before I even ran the race. And it was like, this is so
you understand
cool.
what they have to go through?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he likes you to be able to do that because like you said, like there's, you can get seriously injured, with the heat that high and all the things that can happen in your body and stuff. So, for you to at least witness how hot 137 miles is,
God.
It's even hard to breathe at that point.
Have people died doing it?
No, nobody's died during the race, but there has been plenty of people that have died out there in that area, Death Valley.
That's part of the qualification process, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And they have a great medical staff out there. They ask you to have like one person on your team be a medical professional. I have my friend, Dr. Jeter, of course. She was on my team, kind of helped me through with all my other stuff. So, yeah.
So when the going gets tough, what are you thinking about?
I usually let myself have like a little pity party I'll give myself like 2 minutes. You can sit here and cry and pout. And then
so how many hours to finish Badwater?
I have finished it in 39 hours. And
39 hours, okay.
Years, 40 hours. So right around 39 to 40 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first bump is pity party?
Yeah, pity party.
Okay.
I get to cry all by myself. I tell my crew I don't need any help right now. I just want to sit here for 2 minutes and let me be in the pain cave by myself. And then I pretty much say, okay, I'm going to walk and I'm going to mentally get strong. You don't have to run, but one foot in front of the other, you have to make forward progression throughout, this time. And eventually I'll come back up. It's like, you have waves. It comes in cycles, down and then back up, and you feel 100%. And then you get back to a place where you're like, oh, why did I do this to myself? I paid for this race. I signed up for this race. Why would I do that? It's, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, you're coming back up. You're feeling good. You can run. It's great. Yeah. But there are a lot of ups and downs, definitely.
So the first, saying you have pity party, what do you think about people? Like, what are some of your motivators that keep you? What are some tricks that you do to keep going?
Well,
keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. I'm a very competitive person by nature. So a lot of times you'll have to rely on your crew as well. Like they'll do tricks to kind of like get you back into like mentally get you strong. But yeah, I'll run. When I first started, a lot of it was for my dad, like giving back, trying to get through that, going across the country to support him. And I want to show like, be able to, think about him and get me through. But a lot of it too is, the competitive drive in me. My crew chief will say, you know, you said you wanted to do this. This was the time you said you wanted to do this. This is the pace. And she'll read off some of the things. And I'm like, you know, I was sitting in bed when I remember sitting in bed, writing all this stuff down and how important and how, you know, I was so regimented and I've trained for 6 months for this. Like, you're right. I need to suck it up right now and get going, kind of thing. Just mentally getting to that level. And when I write out my plans and stuff, I'll think about that. I'm like, I want to remember this moment right now where I think I can do this, because in the race, when I start doubting myself, like, I'm not going to allow myself to, you know, let my mind play tricks on me and say, I'm giving up my, you know, A race, my A, you know, performance goal, kind of thing. So
I'm sure you want to do good for your crew, like your mentor.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're all out there and they're so good. Like, help me. Yeah. And like you said, you know, they want to do good for me and I want to do good for them just as much as they want to do good, you know.
It's like a fight.
It
like
is.
a fight, like a, well, it's a fight, but like literally a fight, like a cage fight, you know, you have your corner with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right?
Yeah.
And so are you guys train together? You guys are connected when you prepare for these things?
Usually I'm a flight attendant right now, and I fly all over the place. So I don't do a lot of training with other people just because my schedule is so sporadic and I never know where I'm going to be. The lady that usually comes with me, her name's Michelle. She's kind of like, I call her my race mama, because she like takes care of all my stuff for me. Like, you know,
logistics.
She's just wonderful. Yeah. Just like deals with me when I'm being negative. She like always gets all the directions. She's always there on time. She remembers things that I don't remember to remember, like a headlamp. Just like, she has everything all for me. It's like perfect relationship. But she and I, she's a coach. She doesn't coach me, but I will bounce ideas off of her and talk to her and say, hey, do you want to come, you know, join me like in Brazil? Yeah, I want a free trip to Brazil and I will definitely support you. We've been to Australia together. So yeah, it's a really great relationship that we have going on.
Oh, the race across the U.S.
Yes.
How did that happen?
How did it happen?
Yeah. Well, like, what was the
Yeah. So we would do a marathon every day. And then when we got to a border of a state, we would take a day off. I actually got injured halfway through. So I got to Dallas and then had to take some time off, and the rest of the team finished. But yeah, so we would pretty much run our marathon, then go to a school, hang out with the kids. Then
it was part of that, the group, the organization.
Yeah. Yeah. And then go and like we would.
What year was that?
2015.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
That was 1 year that you worked with them.
Yeah. Yeah. It was 4.5 months though. So yeah, you have to take some
you
time off of work.
You literally did what Forrest Gump did.
Yes.
What was the city you started in?
We started in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
All the way to DC.
To DC.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we did the southern route, which I'm doing a lot of that on my next adventure. I'm doing the bike ride across the country. I'm going to use a lot of that same route to try to get me across. Instead of going to the DC route, once I get to Texas, I'm going to keep it low for the weather and head to Florida, which is cool.
So you've done races in Brazil?
I have, yes.
So tell me about that.
So it's a sister race to Badwater. It's called Brazil 135 Plus. And we didn't know very much about it, which was pretty fun, actually. So we just kind of signed up and we were going to go out there. We didn't know what kind of vehicle we needed. We couldn't speak Portuguese. We didn't even know how long the race course was. We were like 135 plus. It must be 137, maybe 140. No, it's 155. A lot of plus. And so when we got out there, this race is kind of a debacle. We did not have a 4x4 car. And I was running and I was doing really well. It's like the first female, like lead female. And we got to the middle of the night and our car, or I wasn't in the car was supposed to meet me at certain places and give me nutrition and fluid and stuff like that. I got there and there was no car. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where's my crew? Well, I'll just keep walking until they kind of get there. They had gotten stuck on a hill and started pretty much going backwards. And so they had all these line of cars behind them. And yeah, so they had to get somebody in the car to help them move it all the way down. And then they had to go all the way around 3-hour ride to get back to me. So I'm pretty much in the middle of nowhere with no food,
in the middle of the night,
no water in the middle of the night. No.
Did you have your headlamp at least?
I did have my headlamp. Yep. So it was really interesting. And then when they got caught up with me, I'm like, I'm so deficient in fluids and like food and stuff. I'm going to need to get off my feet and kind of like just reboost myself, you know, like it's a recharge kind of thing. So that's kind of what we did. But it was a lot of fun being able to play charades with everybody because of the Portuguese, the language. It was through the countryside. And so like food options were very limited, you know, trying to talk and say, hey, is there anywhere like a hostel or a hotel? We're going to take some time off, get her out of the sun. It's also in January where it's just very hot down there, hot and humid.
The opposite of here. So
yeah.
It's the summertime.
Yeah. So, but I love that race. The people in that race were so wonderful. The Brazilians, they're so loving and kind. And
is it mainly Brazilians?
Yeah, and hospitable. They were just like, you know, took you under your wing. It was such a nice experience. I want to go back down there and do it again.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Australia?
Australia was, I went down there. It was a 135-mile race as well. It's supposed to be a trail race. And they kind of throw you, wild bone and don't give you the course at all. They tell you, we'll give you the course the day you show up for the race. So I didn't really know what to prepare, like how, if I'm going to be climbing a lot, if I'm not, you know, don't know. So we went down there and it was more like an adventure race, I would say. It wasn't really on a trail. It was more bushwhacking in the middle of Australia, like jungle. It was it was wild. Yeah. We had to have snake bite kits, 2 of them on us, and like a whole bunch of like medical stuff just in case. Like the stuff that we had to have, I was like, this is getting me a little nervous.
You guys are in the outback.
Yes. Yeah, completely. But it was a really difficult race. And yeah, it was it was more adventure race than just a running race. Like,
which one was your favorite race out of all the?
I would have to say it was probably Badwater would be it, because it's like, you know, like I said, I know it's like the Disneyland, you know, all these like famous people are there. It's like the Prestige, and, you know, they do a big like documentary every year, and they got cameras and stuff. It's like, it's a pretty big deal. The race director's great there. So that's probably my best race that I've done.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Just the mind over matter
for sure
aspects, you know?
Yeah. Well, ultra running, I swear, it's not so much physical. It's like 90% mental, 10% physical. Like, you do have to train, don't get me wrong, but like pulling yourself out of the, you know, where your mind is just like in this negative, really dark cave, allowing yourself to know it's going to get better. You just have to just hold on to the darkness. It'll go away eventually, and just trust. Yeah, trust your mind's going to get better. Yeah. So there's a lot of times that I've wanted to drop out of a race and, you know, been talked out of it, you know, by my crew, where, you know, that's why I rely on them so much. It's like, they know me, they know what to say to me to be able to get me out of the funk that I'm in.
I did a half marathon one time without training for it, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember I couldn't walk for a week because I didn't train at all for it.
Oh, gosh.
But I finished it just because out of pride, right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't walk for a week, you know? And I can't, how many hours you're running and in motion. So is it like when you're in motion, when you're running, or is it when you stop that you want to like, man, screw this, like, or probably both.
It's both. Yeah.
Depends on the time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely both. Yeah, when you're running, you have some low points, especially when you're like not even halfway through the race. You know, I still have, you know, 70 something miles left. It's like such a big undertaking mentally. I kind of trick myself a little bit, and I'll look at the race, and if it's a 100-mile race, I will say, just get to mile 25. And it's like you get a little incentive or a party, or you get to get off your feet for 5 minutes, or get to drink a beer or something like that. And then mile 50, same thing. So it kind of tricks my mind. Yeah, where it's like 4 small races inside of this big monstrous race. And it's easier to think about that, like mentally, okay, I can get to 25 miles, not, oh my gosh, I still have 75 miles left, you know, kind of thing. Just like little tiny tricks to kind of like spin it in a positive instead of a negative, which is really cool. Yeah. When I think of jiu-jitsu or fighting, you know, like you have your like local tournaments, you know, and then like maybe like a state one, you know, and then like a national one, and then like you go for the gold for the worlds, you know. Yeah. But it's like you can't go from zero to that. Exactly. So if you're looking at like it's similar. Yeah. But it's just the whole like so much pain and suffering. Yeah. I have a funny story. My first 50K, it was like the first race that I did over a marathon. We were in a cabin and my legs were so sore. I could barely walk, just like you. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this tomorrow? And I went to go use the restroom and I could not get off the restroom. I had to call somebody to come up. And I'm like, please help me get off.
Your legs didn't work?
Nope. They were not allowing me to get up off the toilet. So I had somebody come in and help me get off the toilet. It was a very humbling experience for sure.
You had to yell, or you had a phone?
Yeah, I just yelled out. I was like, come and get me. Yeah.
Oh my God. Speaking about humbling, right? Like the David Goggins, he's like, yeah, he like shit all over his pants and, it's just a mess, like,
yeah,
like, and that's everybody pretty much, right? On those that
yeah.
Badwaters and those kinds of races.
Yes, a lot of gastric problems and stuff like that. Yes. A lot goes into it. It's a very personal sport. So all of your crew, you have to be able to be like, this happens and you got to roll with it kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's very humbling in its own right, for sure.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you as a nurse, like you care about people, like, yeah, you get connected with people like that. Oh, it's just so crazy how that works, right?
Yeah. Actually, this last race that I was in, Bear 100, I had a DNF, which means did not finish. There was a gentleman out on the course that had passed out, just electrolyte imbalances and stuff. And so I like stayed with him. But it can be really dangerous, to be honest. If you don't know what you're doing, like fluid and electrolytes and stuff like that goes into play. Yeah.
This last week?
Yeah, last week. Yeah, the Idaho race. But I get a free race entry, so I'm going to go back and do it next year, which was cool. But I got into an ATV and rode 4 miles down the road to help him get sent off to the hospital. And I just didn't feel right not doing those 4 miles that I was in a vehicle. It's even though I was sitting with him and it was for a medical cause and stuff, it would not be advantageous for me if I was racing. It was my A race, no matter what. Like somebody got into a car, they didn't do the same course as I did. I just didn't feel right keep going and finishing the race kind of thing. So yeah.
So all this crazy therapeutic, it's therapy for you, makes you happy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely. I feel like when I don't have anything on the calendar of things to do, like I'm get in like a little depression a little bit, like where I'm like, what's my next adventure? Where am I going to go? What do I want to conquer? I kind of have a list of things that I'm kind of working on right now. You'd like to know what they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do all the highest peaks in all 50 states. So I hit some of them, of course, on the Appalachian Trail, Maine, New Hampshire, Mount Washington, stuff like that. So I just kind of started this venture. I was like into race mode before COVID hit. I was doing a 100-mile race once a month, every month,
100-mile race?
Yeah. 100 miles.
Every month.
Every month, yeah. So that was kind of like my goal, like go as long as I could to do that. And then all the races got canceled. So I was like, well, I'm going to need something to put on my calendar, things to do, hence the Appalachian Trail. And then the spin off of that was I want to go and do all the highest peaks in all the states, which would be really cool. And then I want to do all the 14,000-foot peaks in Colorado. I think that would be pretty awesome. And then I want to go and see all the national parks, all 62 of them that are around. I think that would be fun, and go run around in all of them. So that's kind of like, those are my things that I'm like focusing on while COVID is still around.
Statewide, huh? Right now?
Yeah.
What about internationally?
Well, when I can't really fly internationally right now. Like we're not flying a lot of places.
I see, but maybe in the future?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like I would be thinking you'd be like have you done Mount Kilimanjaro?
I did that actually.
You did that? Okay.
I did it in January.
Oh, you did it in January. There you go.
Yeah.
Just in time, right?
Yep. Yeah.
What are some other major? What are the? Is it the top 5? What are the top 5 in the? I'm not up. I have no idea.
Yeah, in the U.S.
Not in the world.
In the world,
yeah.
You have Everest, of course.
Right.
Kilimanjaro. There's one down in. I forget the name of the one down in South Africa. We have Denali or McKinley here in Alaska.
Right.
And then I'm not sure which one is in Antarctica either. I'm not sure what is the highest peak down there. And then for Asia, I'd have to think about that, but it's on my list. I want to do the international ones too. That would be fun.
I think in the Ultramarathoner book, right, he talks about doing the Antarctica races.
Yeah, Dean Karnassus does.
Right,
yeah,
right.
he was like one of the first ones to do a marathon on all of the continents. Yeah, he's pretty.
Do you want to do that as well?
No, I don't like the cold weather. I love the heat. Like, give me a Badwater any day, but anything like 20 degrees or less, it's not my bag. Yeah.
It's a different thing, right? With the snowshoes and gear that you have to have on.
Definitely.
Huh.
Yeah. That was a big incentive for me to finish the Appalachian Trail. Like, get off the trail before it gets cold, kind of thing. Because where you're going in Maine, you're hitting all the highest peaks, Mount Washington, Mount Katahdin, and stuff like that. And I'm like, I just don't want to have to deal with the cold. So there was a big incentive for me to get done before September, when it starts getting cooler.
What was so you're a flight attendant, right?
I am, yes.
So what's been going on with since the pandemic?
Well, I actually took some voluntary leave. So I got all my insurances paid 100%, and then I have all my flight benefits. So I have not been flying very much. So I don't know a lot about what's going on, which I am happy about. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the time off, because as a flight attendant,
you're staying busy.
Yeah. And our busiest time is the summertime. So for me to be able to take off a summer is nearly impossible with all the travel that goes on. So I was like, I'm taking the opportunity. I'm going to do some of this stuff on my bucket list, do the Appalachian Trail. I'm going to ride my bike across the country, yeah.
How long have you been a flight attendant?
Since 2017.
17, so the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a chance to either keep going with the nursing route, which, at the point in time, I just really enjoyed like traveling and doing my running and adventures and stuff like that. I had a chance to either stay with the whole nursing thing or get into flight attendant, and you take a little pay cut coming from nursing, and but the perks like totally make up for that. And my lifestyle, my happiness, quality of life has been so much better since I've been a flight attendant. I'm so happy with the change. It was hard to do at first. People were looking at me thinking, what are you doing, from nursing to flight attendant? But it's just been such a beneficial thing for me in my life. I'm so happy with the decision.
So you can just race and travel and
I love it.
Live it up.
Yes. Yeah. We've gone. So my mom and I were like best friends. We go on all of our trips together.
Amazing.
We've been through like every continent now, huge trips together. She gets to fly for free because I'm
buddy
flight
passes
attendant.
or the companion passes, right?
Yeah. So we went and did Nepal. I went and did Annapurna Circuit with her.
Wow.
So we did the lower loop. My mom's in her 70s. So, I mean, it's pretty impressive that she can even like, get out there and do, the elevation that you're in up there. So she loves my like adventurous spirit, and she's the type of person just like me. Like if you present it the right way, she'll always say yes kind of thing. So it's really nice to have her as like around, be a mentor or somebody I look up to,
Where do you think this mindset that you have to do these races comes from?
Yeah, I honestly, like, I'm thinking about that. And I had like some pretty strong women and strong coaches from a young age. And I think like them giving me what I needed to like, feel empowered and, strong, and it's okay that you're strong and athletic and, you can go do it. Give me the confidence that I need. It was really impactful in my life. And I think that's a lot of where like my adventurous and like, I want to see how far I can push my body, without, injuring it, of course. But like, I think a lot of it had to do with like the strong women in my life, to be honest. And my mom's one of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, one of the first women to go into engineering field, which is really cool.
What did your dad do?
He was a computer guy as well,
okay.
Software. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. When I think about just the mindset that you have to have, and there's the toughness, like your body to be resilient, to be able to handle race after race after race.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is too, like listening to your body and doing like the tac fit stuff, making sure that you're hitting all those muscles that are the accessory muscles to those larger muscles that you're using for running,
right.
And doing, stretching, rolling your legs out. I just went to the chiropractor this morning to get all adjusted.
I saw your Instagram post.
Yeah.
Recovery things.
Yeah. Like it's really important. You have to, your body does so much for you. You have to get back to your body you know, especially when it's screaming at you like, hey, I'm going to need a break kind of thing. And I think, you know, that alleviates you from getting injured when you know, okay, something's not right here. I'm going to take some downtime. And it's hard for a lot of the type A people that are in this kind of, you know, sport kind of thing. So that's one thing. It's like listening to your body. It will tell you what it needs.
When did you notice that after how long of doing these kinds of things? That you,
I would say it took about 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years.
Yeah, to like really understand like, okay, something's not right here. If I keep doing this, I'm going to have to be off my feet for 3 months because I broke my tibia, you know, something like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you started, like Scott Son in the TAC, you know, creator, he said, you get stronger in the recovery.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I never forget. You get stronger in the recovery.
Exactly.
That's where you actually get stronger.
Yep. Definitely.
Have you had some crazy injuries?
I had a hip injury probably right when I started like the long distance stuff, like right around the marathon stage, first couple of years. That was not a lot of fun. I've had some minor knee stuff, but usually what I'll do is I will like scale back and just until I'm ready and feel comfortable, won't do anything. The hip injury kind of really paved the way for that. I was off my legs and couldn't really walk. And after also the race across the country, I couldn't do anything for 3 months. So
3 months.
I don't ever want to do that again. I'm like, I would rather stay off for a week or two, you know, let my body repair itself than the whole 3 month being laid up in bed kind of thing.
What are some things you do to recover?
So I have this, it's almost like a bathhouse. It's in Irvine. It's called iSpa.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have like a massage there, but they have like these pools where you go from like hot, extremely hot to like extremely cold. And I feel like that is so good for my circulation, so good for the muscles and stuff. I feel like 100 times better when I walk out of that place. I also get a massage like very frequently, chiropractor, stretching. I roll my legs out. Not as much as I should, but I try to keep on top of all that stuff for sure.
What's your diet look like? Nutrition? Nutrition,
I try to eat pretty healthy when it's accessible. I'm a flight attendant, so there is a lot of on the road eating. Since I've been a flight attendant, it hasn't been as good, you know, fast food, packaged food and stuff like that. And I will tell you, on the Appalachian Trail, it was horrendous. It was just any kind of calories I could get, just, you know, get in myself kind of thing. Yeah.
But overall, like, you know, what kind of things do you have success with as far as like what you eat and
well, it's funny
like
that you
as a lifestyle?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked
feel
that.
The best with, yeah.
Yeah, I have like this regiment that I do right before a race. Nutrition is like, it's like the fifth dimension of like racing. You know, it's really important. I will, for my gastric issues that happen in a race, I will eat like a huge lunch the night before.
It's so crazy. Like how it's just like ridiculously personal. Yeah. Like, yeah,
so personal. I know.
Issues,
Sorry.
you know.
Yeah. Well, all runners,
it's what it is. It is,
yeah.
You know, you go to the limit. Like
exactly. And all runners will be able to be like, oh, I totally relate kind of thing. You know, it's just part of it.
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I have like a regiment that I do where I will eat like a huge lunch and then I'll eat barely anything for dinner the night before just to make sure like, okay, we're not going to have any problems with your stomach, you know, come race day. For the most part, I like to try to, if I do it like a really intense, like long workout, like replace with protein, that kind of stuff. I have some protein shakes and stuff like that when you get done with a race. Try to get that in 30 minutes after kind of thing. So just
30 minutes after you run?
Yeah, long doing
run.
like a really strenuous workout.
What kind of shake? What kind of like a macro?
It's like a pure protein.
Pure protein?
Yeah, kind of shake. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what's your regiment look like when you're not, you know, you're a flight attendant, you're flying all over? What do you do when you're, you know, stopping over somewhere, you have a layover somewhere?
Yeah, well, usually, so I try to bid for the long layovers just because like I said, I love to travel. It's like a passion of mine, and I get to see cities that I would never stop there on my own, you know, kind of thing. So what I'll do is I'll go out and run, and I'll like go all throughout the city and find a place for lunch, and I'll do something like a salad or like sushi or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't get those trips as much as I would like to because I'm kind of low on the seniority. But for like the lower amount of hours that I'm there, a short layover, sometimes places aren't even open. So I carry like tuna fish packets with me, tortillas, and, you know, I have like these little quinoa bowls that I'll carry with me and stuff like that. So not fresh food, but I mean, still okay, kind of, you know, on the nutrition scale. Yeah.
I can't help. Of course, my life's been like jiu-jitsu and fighting and those kinds of things, you know. And like I'm just listening to you, you know. Of course, you know, you take care of your, you know, nutrition and diet, you know. But at the end of the day, it comes down to your attitude, you know, like your performance and, you know, how you do, right? Your attitude,
Definitely.
like your belief, your mindset, you know. Like I know guys that have become UFC champions, and like, you know, there's other guys that are like, you know, real systematic, like the nutrition. They have all these coaches and, you know, all this money, and at the end of the day, it's just your belief and your attitude. Like these poor guys from Brazil, for example. You know, there's no system. Like they're just like dropping all this weight, like just a mess. You know, there's no system, but they win. You know, they beat these guys that have these big, huge teams. You know, all this money spent. Just with attitude and belief, you know?
Yeah.
And fire. Hunger, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. They have the fire, the passion, the drive.
Yeah.
Definitely. For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I just listen to you. Like, that's what I think about, you know? Like, at the end of the day, it's your mind, it's just your attitude, right?
Yeah. No, I
if
definitely
If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
Exactly. Yeah. And you stay positive no matter what. Because, you know, you always have those people that will throw a little bit of doubt at you, too.
Right.
And it's like, I just totally put blockers on and, like, I've set myself out to do this. And I'm going to do it. Like, there's no ifs and buts about it. This is what I'm going to do.
When you're in it, you're very protective of who you surround yourself with.
Definitely. Yeah. Like,
because when you're in the fight, when you're in the mix,
you don't need any negativity. Yeah. You already have enough with
people that
are
100% committed to you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a big key ingredient to success. Like I said, my crew that has been with me for a lot of my stuff. I've also done some long distance biking. Same thing. I got to a point, it was 444 miles, and you have to do it in under 44 hours to be able to qualify for a race across America. It's a bike race. There was one point, this storm came in, and I'm going downhill. I am like as hard as I can pedaling, and I look down and I'm only going 10 miles per hour because the winds were that strong. And I got off my bike and I threw my bike down, and I went and crossed my arms and like sat down on the hill, and I was like, I'm just having a pity party right now. And, you know, I had these two wonderful women with me that were like, they're so supportive. Like, okay, you need to eat something. You know, you're bonking right now. Yeah, the storm's pretty tough, and that's, you know, it sucks, but we're going to do this, and we're going to be behind you. And if you need to take as many breaks as you need to, I mean, they just got me to where I'm like, yeah, I can do this little chunks at a time, where I'm like, if I didn't have them, I don't know, that might've been one of those days where I was like, okay, I might not be getting to the finish line kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's that support, right?
Yeah.
Them just listening you out.
Yeah.
Hearing you out.
And you have to trust somebody, you know, you have to trust somebody at your deepest, darkest, and, you know, I hate to say it, but like, you're seeing the raw person when you're that low, you know, like you're hangry, you know, hungry and mad, and you've been up all night, you know, you're going on your 40th hour of running straight through the heat of the desert. It's like, you have to really trust that that person has your best interest at heart, and, you know, you can trust them with being, you know, I've told my race mama that I hated her one time. You know, I feel horrible about it now, but at the time I'm like, oh, I hate you. I just don't want to keep going. And she's like, you're going to keep going. And so, yeah, it's like,
you have to trust them with your life.
A lot of raw emotion. Yeah. It's, yeah, very personal sport. And she knows now too. It's kind of like, okay, you've gotten to the point where, you know, you're going to need a little alone time, eat something, then we're going to come back and revisit kind of thing. She knows me very well.
And then you're talking about negative people when you're preparing or you set out to do something, people trying to think, why are you doing that? You know, making you doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the frequency that I was doing, like the 100-mile races. Like, a lot of people were like, you know, that's not good for your joints, for your body. You know, why do you have like some kind of reason for this? And I'm like, I just want to see if I can do it. You know, it's like, it's a passion in me, you know, it's not for anything, but for myself kind of thing. And, you know, people don't understand that. They think it's very strange to have those aspirations and goals, you know, and it's not normal for them. They think, there must be something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think they do that?
I don't know, jealousy maybe, or, I don't know, just not willing to look at something, that's outside of their norm, and accept it.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not reaching their potential, right?
True.
So they don't want you to.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Do you have that in jiu-jitsu?
Of course, I think in everything, right? Any
Yeah.
kind of success things that you set a goal and people like try to knock you. Oh, you can't do that. Even super close people to you, right?
Yeah.
Like loved ones,
Yeah.
including parents, right? Like, well, don't do that. They don't want, they love you, but,
Yeah.
for, like you said, like that's out of their comfort zone.
Exactly.
They don't want you to get hurt or whatever.
Yep.
And I think the same thing, like the crab, right? The crab story, people pull you down, and if you try to climb out of a certain thing.
Yep.
But you just have to, like you said, just block it out, right? And just
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Of course. Yeah. Feel the same way.
Yeah. What's your worst time on a race?
Let's see. It would probably be Australia. I ended up cutting my hand open and needing stitches in Australia, and in the middle of nowhere. That was a pretty dark moment. Definitely.
How did you cut your hand?
I just came down, it was there was no trail. It was all just bushes and everything else. And the steepness of what we were going up and going down, it was in a gorge. And so I was coming down and my foot just slipped the right way. And I came down on the rocks and cut my hand all the way open. Yeah. So had to get out one of the snake bite kits and pretty much bandages up until I can get to an aid station and get it closed up kind of thing. So.
Was that guy who cut off his hand or his arm to get out of when he got stuck in the rock?
Yeah, that was such a good movie. I'm I feel him on that.
What was the name of that movie?
Oh man, I forget. We had
a certain amount of hours. It was like an hour, something
40 hours.
40
or
hours
something.
or something.
Yeah. I like that movie though. It's great.
Oh my God. It's either you die or you cut
Exactly.
your arm off. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, inspirational though. It's if he had to cut his arm off, I can get through this little race, right? Yeah.
What's your favorite moment?
My favorite moment, I really enjoy the camaraderie with everybody on the course. One of my favorite pictures and moments is crossing the Badwater, finish the first time I ever did it. Yeah, I had all my girls with me and we had our hands up. It was a huge victory. I trained forever for it, and it was just it gives me tingles right now just thinking about crossing that line. It was such a big moment in my life. I would say that's my best moment, my proudest moment.
What did that mean to you?
Oh gosh, I set forth this really large, amazing goal, and I put in so much work and so much effort to conquer it. And I felt so good about myself, setting out the goal, doing all the work, and then conquering it and making, it just feels like anything I put my mind to, I can do it, gave myself a lot of, confidence, self-confidence to be able to get through my next adventure I'm going to pick out.
How many years ago was that moment?
2018. Yeah. So 2 years ago. Yeah.
So you're in the thick of it, right? You're in, we have this little pandemic situation now, but overall you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Of your personal journey.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I feel like I'm at my prime still. It's so funny because now I've changed jobs, and I feel like I'm just the luckiest girl in the world, to be honest, because I'm doing what I love. I get to travel. I'm picking out races. I did Hurt 100 this year. It's a really tough race. I did that right after Kilimanjaro, and I I just can't see living life any differently. I'm so happy with everything right now. I truly feel like I've died and gone to heaven with what I'm doing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. How old are you?
30. I just turned 38.
38.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to have a family? Kids?
No kids. I really enjoy getting up and moving and going wherever I want, whenever I want. Sometimes I get a little lonely for a pet. But I have my mom. She's my best friend. We travel all over the place. And my brother, he lives in Memphis. So I have a place in Memphis that I go a lot. But no anchors, really. I like to be able to just get up and go. Yeah, whenever.
Living the life, huh?
Yeah. A little nomad, which is awesome. Yeah.
So it's been, yeah, you're in the middle of it. You're in your prime of doing these kinds of things.
Yeah.
What do you told me, you shared some of your goals, what's some big goals that you have?
So I, after doing the Appalachian Trail,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was going to be doing it. I just, on a whim, was like, I'm going to take some time off of work. I'll do it with you. No problem. And I didn't think that I was going to like it because it's walking, And
The
I'm
Appalachian Trail?
Yeah. I'm like, well, I like hiking. I don't know. And I absolutely loved it. It was just such an adventure. It's so liberating to know that you can go through life with just something on your back. That's all you need,
Walk across the U.S.
Yeah, I want to do all 3 of the big long trails that we have here. And then also some other ones like the Camino de Santiago over in Europe. There's a Camino to Costa Rica. I want to do that. The Camino de Fe.
The one in Europe, where does that start? Where does that end? Where does that end?
Well, there's 5 different starting points, and then it ends like at the coastline of Spain. So you can start like up in France. You can start. There's a place in Portugal. There's other places like right around in Spain that you can start. It's like a religious homage trail that a lot of people do.
And you go to northern France?
Yep. Right on the coast. Yeah. So that will be one. My mom's going to do that one with me. So we've decided that once COVID kind of, dies down and we can start traveling internationally, she'll do that one with me too. Just like we have a little bucket list for me and my mom, like the Nepal trip and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just pretty cool.
Do you ever think about like after, I don't know, like later, like what do you want to? You're kind of like not. How many years have you been? Like 5 years, these races and last 5 years, like you're like
the longer distances, for sure, 5 to 6 years.
What would you want to be remembered for in doing these things?
Like having as much fun as possible in life and adventurous, as I can possibly be, and maybe like, motivating people to get out there and, don't be afraid to try, new things, try a new career set. If you're not happy, set a goal and make it, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, put in the hard work, you know?
You're never like worried about like, I don't know, your safety, like hiking all these trails all over the country and by yourself? Because a lot of these times you were by yourself, correct?
Yeah. So I started with a woman, and I did not know how to throw a bear bag or anything like that. That's like keeping your food safe from bears and stuff. And I didn't even know how to filter my water. Like I was a total newbie. And she took me under her wing. But one night I was by myself. I just disembarked from her, and I was laying in my tent, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, something woke me up. And I hear this rustling around, and it is like this bear that's coming over and sniffing my tent. I was so scared.
Oh my
I was
God.
shaking like a leaf. I know.
Oh my God.
And when you wake up in the middle of the night, you have to go pee, right? I'm not going to I know it's just a nylon sheet, but it gave me a sense of security in that tent for some reason. So I'm like, how am I going to go to the restroom? I just hear it.
You knew there was a bear
around.
out there.
Oh yeah. He came over and grunted.
Boom, boom,
yeah. Grunted on my
Sniffing.
tent. Yeah. So I had to get a little, creative, and I used my Ziploc bag to relieve myself. But I'm like,
God.
yeah, I have some crazy stories about the Appalachian Trail. I mean, just wild.
And that just happened this year.
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was so much fun. I have another really cool story about the Appalachian Trail. So they have these people along the trail that are called trail angels, and they will leave a cooler, and it'll have water, or they'll leave food, or somebody along the way will have hamburgers, and they're flipping hamburgers, for any of the hikers that come through. So there wasn't a lot of it this year, COVID, but I was going through, it was Vermont, and my shoes were completely mangled, and trying to get the logistic nightmare of trying to get things mailed to you. You have to get to a city, you have to hitchhike to the city, you have to make sure you're not there on a Sunday. It's all these things. So I was like, how am I going to get some new shoes? Because I really am in dire need. I'm duct taping them at this point. So I go ahead and I ship them off, and I'm like, I just have to wake up and I have to do 38 miles. I've done 38 miles in a day. I'm going to just make it a long day and get to my new shoes. Well, I'm going down this hill, and my foot goes flying outside of my shoe. It's no longer a shoe. I have no more duct tape to use. The shoe's destroyed.
How do you duct tape your shoe?
Just around.
The bottom was coming off the top.
Yeah.
Basically, the sole was coming off the shoe.
Yeah, you just have a complete blowout. Like your foot is just outside of the shoe. So I go down to have my pity party like I do. I'm going to go eat lunch, and I'm at mile 20. So I have 18 miles, and I have no other shoes except for flip-flops. So I'm sitting there, and there's one car in the parking lot. There's no cell service. There's like no town anywhere close. And this lady comes walking up, and she goes, "Hey, hon, how's it going?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm having a bad day. My shoe." I was like, "By any chance, are you going to Manchester Center? My shoes are there." And she's like, "No, I'm going the opposite way." And I was like, "Oh, okay." It's like, just having a bad day. I'm trying to get mentally prepared to walk in these flip-flops. She goes, "Well, by any chance, what size shoe do you wear?" The only woman I've seen all day for an hour sitting there, one car there. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, I wear an 8.5 in men's. Like, it's a big shoe, 10 in women's. She takes the shoes off of her feet and hands them to me and says, "I needed new trail shoes anyways." And they were a perfect fit. I'm like, was that not a trail angel? That was like the best ever. And so I finished my 18 miles in that lady's shoes. Gave me the shoes off her feet. Like, what a wonderful soul.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Yeah. Right?
What shoes do you wear?
I wear usually Brooks.
Brooks?
Yeah, I like Brooks. They're just like a good, hearty, wholesome shoe. They're reliable.
You like that they're wide?
Uh-huh.
They give a lot of space?
Yeah. I learned that running across the country. I need a lot of space for when your feet swell and all that fun stuff. Because your body goes through a lot of weird changes when you're running that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. All this stuff is, I mean, mind over matter, like human potential. This stuff is like just so inspiring for me, so motivational for me. Like just your toughness and the will to persevere and to finish, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Against all odds, right? Like shoes or your bowels, losing your bowels.
Totally.
And, heat and I mean,
losing your crew.
Losing your crew.
No food. Yeah.
No food.
Like, there's like, everything has to line up perfectly to have like the best race of your life. There's so many things that go involved in something that long,
Yeah. And it's human potential. Like just, and I appreciate you doing all these and sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It was really nice getting to know you, and I'm excited about learning more about TacFit.
Yeah, I'd love to share that with you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have Instagram?
I do, yeah. Jessica.allthingsrunning, my Instagram.
Do you have a website or anything?
I don't have a website, no. Got a Facebook page and, Athlinks, kind of page and stuff like that.
Athletes page?
Yeah, an athlete page. But there's like where all your races and stuff, the times, like what you've raced.
I see.
Yeah, it's called
Gotcha.
Athlinks. So that's all in there, if they wanted to see what kind of races I've done and stuff.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.